family side of things, that does overwhelm me quite a bit. But in terms of, doing the job and things like that, where their voices were needing to be heard. So if anything, hopefully the Earthshot can do that and project these voices, to a global audience. I embrace that and I enjoy that change. I don't fear it. That's the bit that excites me, is the idea of being able to bring some change.
Prince William is furious at Meghan Markle's Paris video, and honestly, a lot of people tried to give her the benefit of the doubt at first. Maybe she didn't realize where she was. Maybe it was just an innocent mistake. But here's where things get interesting. The timing of this whole thing is what's making people realize this might have been her plan all along. Harry's been working behind the scenes on reconciliation with his family. Talks of him coming back to the UK were actually progressing. Things were finally moving in the right direction after years of silence.
How insensitive it was for her to be videotaping around Diana's death scene, the fact that she was at a...
Then Meghan posts this video near the tunnel where Diana's life ended, and suddenly everything explodes. If she's the mastermind manipulator everyone claims she is, what better way to get the family furious at Harry and Meghan again? Because now Harry's going to defend her. Oh no, Meghan didn't mean to do it. How dare you be mad at her? It was an accident. But was it? Was it really? Let's break down why William is absolutely livid right now and why this theory is starting to make way too much sense.
Prince William's bombshell interview. Now, he was never going to do a tell-all like Prince Harry.
Before we dive into what William actually said when he saw this footage, and his reaction is absolutely wild, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because this gets way deeper than you think. If you're already suspicious about the timing, drop a like right now. Trust me, by the end of this video, you're gonna see this whole situation completely differently. So let's talk about what actually happened here. October 2025, Meghan shows up at Paris Fashion Week looking absolutely stunning for the Balenciaga show.
Instead of being adored, they became resented. And instead of walking in Diana's footsteps, they've ended up exposing just...
We're talking custom white outfit, oversized cape, the whole works. She's there supporting her friend who just became creative director, sitting front row with Anna Wintour and all the fashion elite. Nothing unusual so far, right? Just another high-profile fashion event. But then she posts this Instagram story later that night, and that's where everything goes completely sideways. She's in the back of a luxury limo, feet casually propped up on the seat in front of her. Like she's just having the most relaxing, carefree night.
I told you this would happen, didn't I, right, chums? I said that this was going to be the deal. Oh, yes. If, of course, you've been
cruising through the streets of Paris. The city lights are reflecting off the water. You can see the bridges passing by in the background. Sounds pretty standard for someone attending Fashion Week, honestly. The kind of content you'd see from any influencer or celebrity having their main character moment in Paris. Except, here's where it gets wild. She's passing right by the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Yeah, that tunnel. The exact spot where Diana passed back in 1997. Now listen, she wasn't technically inside the tunnel itself.
I would say a few words about my father and why I believe this weekend is so important. But don't worry.
5 minutes ago,
but she was close. Way too close for most people's comfort, especially given who she's married to and what that location represents to his family. And get this, the route from her event straight to where she was staying, it goes directly through that tunnel. There's really no other way to get there without going through it or passing right by it. So she's either about to drive through it or she just passed it. Either way, she's filming content right there in that area, acting like it's just another beautiful night in Paris. Like the location means absolutely nothing.
There's this eerie deja vu that keeps hitting you when you look at Meghan Markle's public moves, the outfits, the interviews, the hand gestures, even the eyeline.
So obviously, people start completely losing their minds when they see this video. Social media explodes, royal commentators are weighing in, everyone's got an opinion, and almost immediately, the defense machine kicks into high gear. Suddenly it's all, oh, this was just artistic expression. People need to relax and stop overreacting. Some folks are even saying William just doesn't understand social media and how influencers post content these days, that he's out of touch with how the younger generation shares their experiences online.
Meghan Markle is gracing Instagram with a reel so try-hard, it could have been lifted straight from a 2015 lifestyle blog.
Here's the thing, though. A bunch of reports initially got the story wrong. They were saying she actually drove through the tunnel, which technically she didn't. She was outside of it, and that's an important distinction. But here's what nobody can really argue with. Being anywhere near that location, filming casual content with your feet up like you're just vibing and having the best time, that feels deliberate to a whole lot of people. At minimum, it shows a complete lack of awareness about where you are and what that place means to the family you married into. At worst,
as I said, the driving by the tunnel is one thing, but the part that gets me is the feet putting the...
Well, that's exactly what we're about to get into, because the timing of all this is what makes it really suspicious. Now, here's where things start to get really interesting, and honestly, this is the part that changes the whole story. See, what most people don't realize is that Harry had been quietly working on family reconciliation for months before this video dropped. We're not talking about public statements or headlines. This was happening behind the scenes. Real, actual conversations about him coming back to the UK were taking place.
Apparently, Meghan Markle is now the reincarnation of Princess Diana's wardrobe department. After her latest Paris escapade,
Not just visiting for a day and leaving, but genuine discussions about rebuilding those family connections that had been completely shattered for years. And listen, progress was actually being made. After years of complete radio silence between Harry and his father, between Harry and William, things were finally starting to shift. Sources close to the family were saying reconciliation was actually within reach for the first time in forever. King Charles had been wanting to welcome his son back.
There's this eerie deja vu that keeps hitting you when you look at Meghan Markle's public moves, the outfits, the interviews, the hand gesture.
That whole forgiveness angle, trying to heal the family before it's too late. Even though William was still holding back, still angry about everything that had been said publicly, there was movement happening. The doors weren't wide open, but they weren't completely shut anymore either. Then boom, this video drops and everything absolutely detonates. Like, we're talking scorched earth level explosion. All that careful, quiet progress that had been building for months, gone in one Instagram story.
While visiting Paris, Meghan Markle shot a video right near the spot where Princess Diana's fatal accident.
And now Harry's stuck in the worst possible position, right in the middle, exactly where he's been 1,000 times before. He's got to defend Meghan again, right? Oh no, she didn't mean it like that. You guys are overreacting. How dare you be mad at her? It was just an accident. The same cycle that keeps repeating over and over. But here's what's getting people suspicious. If Meghan's as calculated and strategic as everyone claims she is, this timing feels way too perfect to be coincidence.
Beyond desperate. And when Meghan couldn't even pull off an air kiss with her apparent BFF, the new...
Think about it for a second. Harry's making real progress with his family. Conversations are happening. The possibility of him having a relationship with his father and brother again is becoming real. And that means what? It means Harry might not need to rely on Meghan as much. It means he'd have other people in his life again, other perspectives, other voices. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's this massive controversy that gets the entire royal family furious all over again.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and
Bad publicity that specifically destroys peace talks. That's not just random bad luck. That's surgical precision. This isn't some tabloid making up stories or paparazzi catching an awkward moment. This is content that Meghan herself filmed and posted. She chose that moment, that location, that angle, and the result It creates fresh brother drama at the exact moment when those walls were finally starting to come down. The timing literally couldn't be worse if someone was trying to sabotage reconciliation on purpose.
They would know things, they'd be everywhere. And if you let that creep in, the damage it can do to your family life is something that I vowed would never.
And honestly, the outcome achieves one very specific thing. It keeps Harry isolated from his family, keeps that distance exactly where it's been, exactly where some people think she wants it to stay. So let's talk about William's reaction when he saw this footage, because according to Rob Shutter, who's been pretty reliable with his royal sources, William absolutely lost it. We're talking full-on rage. The report says he literally went white with anger the moment he watched that video.
Guys, I have such a good show for you today. We need to talk. So much stuff coming out right now. It's kind of unbelievable.
Not just annoyed, not just disappointed, white with anger. That's the kind of fury that goes beyond words, you know? That visceral reaction when something hits you so personally that your body just responds before your brain can even process it. And here's what a palace insider said, and I'm quoting this directly because it's that intense. It wasn't just bad taste, it was personal desecration. Personal desecration. Those are some heavy words right there.
While visiting Paris, Meghan Markle shot a video right near the spot where Princess Diana's fatal accident.
Think about what that means. Like, this isn't William being uptight about royal protocol or worried about public image. This is deeply, deeply personal to him. That tunnel represents sacred ground for both brothers. It's the place where their entire world fell apart when they were just kids. It's where they lost their mother in the most traumatic, public way imaginable. And now someone's filming casual Instagram content there like it's just another pretty spot in Paris. William's response wasn't some
New York Post and Page 6, you both should be put out of business as of today because of these absolutely disgusting and morbid headlines that you
carefully worded palace statement released 3 days later. No, his reaction was immediate. The second he saw that video, he got on the phone and demanded that every single copy of that footage be scrubbed from everywhere. Taken down, deleted, gone. He wanted it erased from the internet completely. And the word he used to describe it, grotesque. That's the actual word. Grotesque. He couldn't wrap his head around how someone could film themselves there so casually, so carelessly.
Now, I know this really takes some doing, but this is Meghan Markle's sickest stunt yet.
Near the exact spot that changed everything for his family forever. This wasn't William being stuffy or formal about royal duties. This was personal fury. The kind of anger that comes from feeling like someone took something sacred and treated it like a joke, like they disrespected not just a memory, but his mother's memory specifically. And get this, some people tried to soften it by saying, oh, William just doesn't understand social media. He's out of touch with how people share content nowadays.
Meghan. Once a figure presented as misunderstood, she was increasingly cast as provocative. Even sympathetic voices
But come on, this isn't about not understanding Instagram. This is about basic human decency and awareness of where you are and what that place means to the people you claim to care about. Palace sources are saying that behind closed doors, tempers are absolutely at a boiling point. The official statement, nothing. Palace declined to comment publicly, which honestly tells you everything. When they won't even release a standard no comment, you know things are bad. The silence is deafening.
The Daily Mail is worried that Prince William is running out of royals when he is king.
And William sees this whole thing as direct disrespect to their mother's memory. Not just Diana as a public figure, but as his mom. The woman who raised him, who he watched struggle, who he lost way too young. That's what makes this cut so deep for him. Okay, so here's where we've got to ask the real question. Does pulling off something like this actually require genius-level planning? Or are people giving Meghan way too much credit and she's just really that clueless, Because honestly, it could go either way, but
What happens when television's most respected interviewer sits across from one of the most polarizing figures of modern royalty?
let me walk you through why the mastermind theory is starting to make a whole lot of sense to a lot of people. Think about the surgical precision of this whole situation. She's at the perfect distance from that tunnel, not inside it, which would be too obvious, too blatant. That would have been impossible to defend. But she's close enough that everyone knows exactly where she is and what location she's near. It's this incredibly specific, sweet spot that gives her just enough deniability to claim, oh, I didn't realize, if anyone challenges her on it.
Prince William did an interview where he talked about modernizing the monarchy and raising his children. I want to play you this first clip, okay, where he talks about...
But it's also close enough to absolutely guarantee a family explosion. That's not easy to pull off accidentally. And here's what makes it even more interesting. This one move achieves two massive things at the same time. First, she gets worldwide headlines. Every tabloid, every royal commentator, every social media platform is talking about Meghan Markle. Her name is everywhere. Second, and this is the big one, she completely torpedoes the reconciliation that was happening between Harry and his family. Two birds, one stone. That's not just lucky timing, that's...
Come on now. We knew it wasn't going to be long after Meghan just broke the internet.
That's strategic brilliance if it was intentional. The level of strategic thinking that would require seems almost theatrical, doesn't it? Like something out of a movie. You'd have to think several moves ahead, like playing chess. You'd have to know the exact route you're taking through Paris that night. Recognize that you're approaching that specific tunnel. Understand what that location means to William and Harry. Predict exactly how the family would react to seeing content filmed there. Calculate that it would create enough controversy to derail peace talks.
The surprise was that, my tour guide was actually going to be the prince.
Thank you. Why don't you pop down to the
And then film it anyway. Post it anyway. All while maintaining this stance of complete innocence. That's a lot of layers. Is anyone really that calculated? That's the question everyone's asking. Can someone actually be smart enough to orchestrate all of this while making it look accidental? Because if this was intentional, we're talking Taylor Swift level masterminding here. And I don't mean that as shade to Taylor, I mean that as recognition of serious strategic genius.
Looking like she thinks the runway is for her, one viral comment read, "Someone needs to tell her they're just escorting her to her chair."
The kind of person who thinks 10 steps ahead, who understands exactly how every move will play out in the media, who can manipulate situations to get specific outcomes while keeping their hands completely clean. Think about what that would take. You'd have to be sitting in that limo, knowing you're about to pass that tunnel, and think, this is perfect. I'm just far enough away to play dumb later, but close enough to make everyone lose their minds. Let me film this with my feet up, super casual, like I'm just having the best time and have no idea where I am.
Prince William tells Eugene Levy that he misses late Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip.
Then you'd have to post it knowing full well what's about to happen. Knowing William's going to explode, knowing it's going to create a wedge between the brothers again, and then just sit back and watch it all burn while maintaining complete deniability. What? I didn't know. I was just sharing my Paris experience. You guys are so sensitive. That level of calculation seems almost unreal, right? But here's the thing. The outcome is so perfectly aligned with keeping Harry isolated from his family that it's hard to call it coincidence.
There is a new storm brewing around Meghan Markle, the wife of Prince Harry. All has started with an Instagram post.
Whether she planned it or not, the result is exactly what you'd want if your goal was to prevent reconciliation. And that's what's got people suspicious. Because sometimes when something looks too perfect to be an accident, maybe it's not an accident at all. So here's where things get really sad, honestly. Royal experts are already calling it. They're saying this video could permanently end any chance of peace talks between these brothers. And I'm not talking about some random people on Twitter speculating. We're talking about people.
She's in Paris. She's actually maybe doesn't realize she's approaching the tunnel where Diana died. And then she shows herself putting.
Who've been covering the royal family for decades, who understand the dynamics, who've seen how these relationships work. They're saying this might be the final straw, the thing that breaks it beyond repair. And poor Harry, man, he's scrambling behind the scenes, trying to calm everyone down, trying to do damage control privately. Sources close to him say he's reaching out to William, trying to smooth things over, probably saying the same things he always says. She didn't mean it that way. Please don't be angry. This is getting blown out of proportion.
Do you find already that Prince William has a will of his own?
Well, he said. But here's the problem. William's done. He's absolutely done. There's only so many times you can ask someone to forgive and forget before they just stop listening. And for William, this isn't something he views as a misunderstanding or a social media oopsie. He sees this as completely unforgivable, a line that shouldn't have been crossed. Think about what just happened here. Years of potential healing, months of quiet conversations, all that careful progress that had been building brick by brick. It all got torched in one Instagram story.
We may never know if Meghan actually knew that's where Princess Diana died. But if she didn't know, if she genuinely didn't.
One post. That's all it took to undo everything. And the craziest part? It didn't have to be this way. None of this had to happen. Here's what makes the whole situation even worse. A simple apology could have ended this entire controversy immediately. We're talking within hours of posting that video. She could have put out a statement saying, "I'm so embarrassed. I genuinely had no idea about that location's significance. I have nothing but the deepest respect for Diana's memory and for Harry's family."
What I'm going to talk about today is even worse than that awkward head bump Meghan Markle gave Balenciaga's Italian designer when she tried.
I never meant to cause any pain. Boom, done, controversy over, everyone moves on. William might still be upset privately, but publicly the story dies right there, but that's not what happened. Instead, complete radio silence from her team. No statement, no clarification, no acknowledgement that anything was wrong, nothing. And listen, her defenders came out with all kinds of justifications and excuses. It was artistic expression. She didn't know. People are overreacting.
Meghan mocked a model who fell on the runway, and Camilla laughed at the Inuit people welcoming her. No one noticed that, in fact.
But none of that's coming from Meghan herself. She's staying completely quiet about the whole thing. Not a single word of explanation or apology. And here's the thing about silence in situations like this. It speaks volumes. When someone accidentally does something that hurts people and they genuinely didn't mean to, what's the normal human response? You apologize immediately. You feel terrible about it. You want to make it right as fast as possible.
Fans slammed Meghan Markle for attending a Balenciaga fashion show after the brand was canceled for using children in a creepy.
But when someone stays silent, when they don't apologize, when they don't even acknowledge that people are hurt, that starts to look a whole lot less like an innocent mistake and a whole lot more like they don't think they did anything wrong. Or worse, like they did exactly what they meant to do. The longer she doesn't say anything, the worse this gets. Every day that passes without an apology makes it look more intentional, makes it seem like she's standing by what she did. And for William, watching this play out, watching her refuse to take any accountability whatsoever.
Prince William sparked widespread attention by attending the Aston Villa versus PSG Champions League quarterfinal match in Paris.
That's probably confirming everything he already thought about her. It's almost like she doesn't want to fix it. Like keeping the drama going, keeping that distance between Harry and his family is exactly what she wants. Now let's talk about something that's getting kind of overlooked in all this drama. William just did this really candid interview with Eugene Levy for his Apple TV show, The Reluctant Traveler. And honestly, it's one of the most open I've seen him in a long time. He's usually pretty guarded, right? Keeps his personal stuff close to the chest.
Did you notice that with just one move, Prince William diffused Trump's humiliation of the royal family? When greeting, Trump held...
But in this interview, he actually opens up about some really vulnerable stuff. And it makes the whole Paris video situation hit even harder when you see where his head's at. So William starts talking about his own kids and how important it is to him to create this warm, safe environment at home. He says something like, "I think it's really important that the atmosphere is created at home. You have to have that warmth, that feeling of safety, security, love." And he's talking about George, Charlotte, and Louis, making sure they have what he had as a kid.
No wonder Christine Scott ignored Meghan's attempts to approach her, but shows great respect for Queen Elizabeth. Recently, Meghan made her...
But then he adds this really telling part. He says, "That was certainly a part of my childhood." Past tense. Was. Because here's the thing. That secure, warm feeling he remembers, it only lasted a short period of time. His parents split up in 1996 when he was just 8 years old. 8. Think about how young that is. You're still a little kid, your whole world is your parents, and suddenly everything's falling apart around you. And he's been pretty open about the fact that his dad's longtime relationship with Camilla was a huge part of why
Meghan Markle just gave a masterclass in how to destroy your personal brand in 15 seconds. A viral
the marriage ended. That's a lot for a kid to process, you know? A lot of complicated adult stuff that an 8-year-old shouldn't have to think about it. But here's what I really respect about William in this interview. He's not bitter about it. He's not throwing blame around or playing victim. Instead, he makes this promise to himself and his kids. He says, you take that and you learn from it and you try to make sure you don't do the same mistakes as your parents. I think we all try and do that. And that's such a mature, healthy way to look at it.
What I'm going to talk about today is even worse than that awkward head bump Meghan Markle gave Balenciaga's Italian designer when she tried...
He's saying, yeah, my childhood had some rough patches, but I'm going to use that to be better for my own kids. Break the cycle instead of repeating it. Then the interviewer asks him what overwhelms him, probably expecting him to say something about the pressure of royal duties or the constant public scrutiny or the weight of knowing he'll be king someday. And William's answer, stuff to do with family overwhelms me quite a bit. Not the job, not the responsibilities, not the public appearances or the speeches or the diplomacy.
4 traces showed that Meghan is trying to harm her husband to copy Diana's case. The Sussexes said they were involved.
Family stuff. That's what gets to him. That's what keeps him up at night. He goes on to explain it more, and you can hear how real he's being about this. He says the worry and stress around the family side of things, that's what overwhelms him. But when it comes to actually doing the job, the royal duties, all that official stuff, he doesn't feel too overwhelmed by that anymore. He's settled into it, figured it out, gotten comfortable with the role. But family dynamics, family stress,
Prince William is letting his guard down like never before. In a rare, intimate appearance on The Reluctant Traveler, he opened up...
That's where I start getting a bit overwhelmed, as I think most people would. And honestly, that last part, as I think most people would, that's him trying to relate to regular people, saying, hey, we all struggle with family stuff. But let's be real about what family situation he's talking about here. This interview happened right around the time all this Paris drama is going down. Right when tensions with Harry are at an all-time high. Right when years of attempted reconciliation just...
Oh. Note to self.
Got blown up by one Instagram video. So when William says family stress is what overwhelms him, when he talks about worry around the family side of things, it's pretty obvious he's not talking about Kate and the kids. They're his safe space. He's talking about the ongoing mess with his brother, the constant drama, the public attacks, the impossible position of wanting to protect his mother's memory while watching his brother's wife post content near the tunnel where she passed.
I hope we don't go back to some of the practices in the past that, you know, Harry and I had to grow up in.
and I'll do everything I can to make.
That's the family stress that's breaking him down. Here's something really interesting that came out after that Eugene Levy interview. A reporter asked Levy if the palace had told him he couldn't ask certain questions. Specifically, were you told you couldn't bring up Harry and Meghan? And Levy's response is pretty telling. He said, "I was not told I couldn't ask anything." Let that sink in for a second. The palace didn't restrict him at all. No handlers, no list of forbidden topics. William's team didn't put up any barriers, so Levy could have asked about Harry and Meghan if he wanted to.
Meghan Markle is facing backlash after posting an Instagram story showing her lounging in a limo with her feet.
He had total freedom to dig into the family drama, to ask William directly about the rift, but he chose not to. Here's what he said. It was a very delicate issue and certainly not up to me to get into it. He felt there were more meaningful topics that would be interesting for William and the world to hear. That's class right there. And honestly, that's such a respectful choice. Think about how rare that is in today's media environment, where everyone wants the drama, everyone wants the clicks. But Levy took the high road. He recognized this is a real family.
Prince William has revealed Prince George is very different behind closed doors compared to how he is in the public eye. At a recent
dealing with real pain, and maybe we don't need to poke at that wound just for entertainment. He could have asked, but he didn't. But here's what's sad. The brother situation hangs over literally every single William appearance. Every interview, every public event, there's this elephant in the room. People are always wondering if he'll mention Harry, if there's been any progress. It's like this constant shadow that follows him everywhere. And you can tell it weighs on him, especially after what he said about family stress being what overwhelms him the most.
Prince William has revealed the one lesson that he learned from his parents, Charles and Diana's tumultuous divorce, reflecting on his parents.
Meanwhile, look at how William's actually handling himself. Through all of this, he keeps showing up, keeps doing the work. He's being mature, reflective, genuinely trying to learn from the past and be better. When he talks about his childhood and his parents' divorce, he's not playing victim or throwing anyone under the bus. He's taking accountability for his own life, his choices, his role as a father now. He handles difficult topics with actual grace and thoughtfulness. The contrast between how the brothers are operating couldn't be more different. And I'm not trying to bash Harry here, but let's just look at the facts. One brother is showing up for interviews where he's vulnerable and honest about his struggles. He's talking about what overwhelms him, what he learned, how he wants to be a better parent. He's doing the quiet, unglamorous work of actually growing as a person. And the other side, it's just controversy after controversy. Public drama, tell-all books, interviews where family secrets get aired out, and now this Paris video situation. And before anyone says I'm being unfair to Harry, listen, I get that he's in a tough spot. He's caught between his wife and his family. That's not easy for anyone. But at some point, you've got to look at the pattern. Why does the drama keep happening? Why does reconciliation keep getting sabotaged? Why does every time things start to get better, something new blows it all up? William's trying to build bridges while dealing with his own stress. And every time he gets close, another controversy erupts. That's got to be exhausting. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, because this Paris video isn't happening in a vacuum. When you step back and look at the timeline, there's a pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what I mean. Every single time reconciliation between Harry and his family seems possible, something happens to blow it all up. Every time those doors start to crack open, boom. New controversy, new drama, new headline that makes everything worse.
Look, here comes the consequence, consequences of my actions chasing me right now. I don't want.
And these aren't random external things. These are choices someone is taking. Look at the timing. When things were settling down after they left, when the dust was clearing, that's when the Oprah interview happened. Family secrets aired on international television. Any chance of quiet reconciliation, gone. Then, when some time had passed, the Netflix docuseries drops, more personal stories, more behind-the-scenes footage, more private family matters made public. And then Spare comes out right when you'd think, maybe they can start to rebuild. But no, here comes a memoir with incredibly personal details about William, about Kate, about private conversations, things William explicitly said he'd never forgive. Each time, it's like someone's making sure that door stays firmly shut. Now we've got this Paris video, and guess what the timing is? Right when Harry's been working on reconciliation with King Charles. Right when actual progress was being made. Right when sources were saying, for the first time, reconciliation might actually be within reach.
Star of Schitt's Creek is address a lot that he has been unable to say over the...
That's when this video gets posted, near the tunnel, feet up, casual as can be. And the result? William's furious. The family's in chaos. All that progress is gone. At some point, you've got to ask yourself, are all these accidents really accidents? Is it really just bad luck and poor timing over and over? Or is there something more deliberate happening? Because the timing is always too convenient. The damage is always too specific. And the outcome is always the same.
The slow decay of her marriage before she found her voice. And when she finally used it, it mattered. When she said something,
Harry stays isolated from his family. Reconciliation gets pushed further out of reach. And here's what makes it suspicious. Look at what William's been doing. He's been growing, maturing, showing up, being vulnerable, trying to break cycles from his childhood. He's doing the work. Meanwhile, from the other side, one perfectly timed disruption after another. Each incident carefully spaced to do maximum damage right when healing might be possible. That's not chaos. That's precision.
She may throw one or two, things in, but it's very, very rare. Now, what's interesting about this is Meghan...
Whether this was planned or not, the result is identical. The pattern is undeniable. Every time peace seems possible, something explodes and makes it impossible. And honestly, when something keeps happening the exact same way with the exact same timing and outcome, at some point you've got to stop calling it coincidence. Because sometimes a pattern is exactly what it looks like. Intentional, calculated, and designed to keep things exactly the way someone wants them. So, look, at the end of the day, whether this Paris video was a calculated move or just...
The Duke of York will continue his life privately, under care and with the full support of the family.
Incredibly poor judgment, the damage is exactly the same. William keeps showing up, being vulnerable about his struggles, genuinely trying to learn from the past and do better. He's putting in the work to break cycles and be a better father, a better person. And a simple apology from Meghan could have ended this entire thing in seconds. I'm so embarrassed. I had no idea. Deepest respect to the family. Like, that's it. Done. Everyone moves on. But instead, complete silence, no statement, no clarification, nothing.
And silence and media chaos she never asked for. Meghan, on the other hand, seems to have fast-tracked her way through Diana's...
And honestly, that silence tells you everything you need to know. Because when someone accidentally hurts people and they genuinely didn't mean to, the normal response is to apologize immediately. You feel terrible, you want to make it right as fast as possible. But when someone stays quiet, when they refuse to acknowledge the pain they caused, that starts looking a whole lot less like an innocent mistake. Families were finally getting closer after years of being torn apart. Real conversations were happening. Progress was being made.
As she rolls into Paris. Because nothing says class like treating an expensive car like your personal ottoman.
One Instagram story might have permanently destroyed all of that. So here's what I want to know from you. Was destroying that reconciliation the goal from the start? Because that timing is just too perfect to ignore. The location too specific, the silence too loud. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this was intentional? Do you think Meghan knew exactly what she was doing, or am I giving her way too much credit? Was this mastermind level manipulation or just someone being completely clueless? I want to hear what you think about this whole situation. And if this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, if it made you see this story in a different way, do me a favor. Smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, because we're breaking down stories like this all the time, connecting dots that most people miss. And make sure you've got that notification bell turned on so you don't miss when we drop the next one. The truth is always more complicated than the headlines make it seem. Sometimes you've got to look at the pattern, look at the timing, look at who benefits from the chaos. And sometimes, just sometimes, what looks like a coincidence is actually exactly what you think it is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.